Welcome to the U Thought Wrong podcast, where we share stories of individuals just like you who have found ways to conquer their fears and are excelling at life.
Today on U Thought Wrong, I'm sitting down with a man dedicated to a specific type of strength. One measured not in muscle, but in self-mastery and emotional literacy. On paper, he's a co-founder of Healing in Color, a speaker, and a coach helping others navigate identity and growth. But beyond the titles is a much more deeper story. It's the journey of a man of Guyanese heritage who had to confront the silent scripts and rigid versions of masculinity he inherited before he truly found his own voice. We're going to behind the bio to explore what happens when a higher performer realizes the strength isn't just about how much you carry, but what you're finally willing to put down. We're talking about breaking generational cycles and choosing vulnerability over performance. This is Joshua Jaipaul. Welcome, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
So, before we get into the nitty-gritty of how I got into you doing what you're doing now, let's talk about how we met, and just we put forward everything that before you got into this. But before we met, what were you doing professionally before you got into the healing space?
Yeah, so what I would say is, if I'm to look at the trajectory of my life, I would say around 2020 is when I really broke into the healing space, if you will. I've been surrounded by a lot of people who were in that field and doing certain versions of it, different modalities, things like that. But for me, I was very much that corporate guy. It's that's kind of the script that was written for me. Growing up, I had the usual aspirations of people from my community. I want to be a neurosurgeon, right? Why? Kind of really the payday, if I'm being honest. Then, want to be, other doctors, a lawyer. And all of those things kind of faded for me in the allure, just as you get a bit older and stuff like that. So like a lot of folks who enter this industry, I kind of fell into it, and that's the insurance industry. Mm-hmm. And from there, I just started to work my way through it and understand how these systems really work, right? It's something that's designed to support people and whatnot. You get to really work and go behind the curtain, and you start to see it's a little bit more than that. It's an animal of its own. And from there, I started to see that I was really looking for something else. And what I was trying to do is really fulfill that bucket of impact and purpose through my work. And it was becoming really hard. So I found myself living two lives almost. It's all right, there's corporate 9-to-5 Josh, and then there's the Josh who's trying to build the life he really wants. So, 2020 is kind of when I finally decided we're all in, let me actually start breaking into this and see where this can take me.
Okay. Yeah, and that's kind of around when we met, maybe just a year or two after that. Yeah. Sangha brought me up for the first time, and he was just telling me about you, and I think that time too, I was really talking to Sangha a lot through what he was going through, and just he wanted to figure out even ways to help others to heal as well. And then seeing the yurt that you guys had in the back, I was just who has this here, in Canada and everything. So, and I thought it was just something that you could just make kind of on your own. But then when you told us about the story of it and importing it here and everything, can you explain a little bit about what that is and what that represents for your guys' journey, I guess? Absolutely. The beginning of your journey, essentially, too? Yeah,
absolutely. So the yurt is such a special structure that's been part of our life. And so special, I actually tattooed it on myself here.
Nice,
this was part of what I got in Thailand. And this was in commemoration of all my teachers from that year. Cool. The yurt being one of the main ones. And so the yurt is a Mongolian structure. That's where they originated from. I know we see a lot of different variations of them nowadays, but this was authentic to Mongolia. So that means that they carved the whole thing. They painted the whole thing by hand. So when you see it, it actually looks like a living piece of art. A beautiful thing about a space like a yurt is that it actually has no walls, no corners, no hard edges. So the energy moves differently through it. It kind of keeps flowing. You don't hit that, corner and then it's what happened here? You just feel the flow. And so it was a really special structure to us because of that. And it really was an inviting one. The Mongolian people, they actually treat the yurt as a structure where you don't need to actually knock to go in. You just open the door. It's that kind of thing, right? When we saw that, we got to experience that, it was just there's no better structure to support what it is we're trying to do here, which is bring people together and make everyone feel like they're welcome.
No, it was cool, and you felt the energy. And it's kind of deceiving of how big it is on the inside. I was it's not that big, and then I go inside, and it's just oh wow, you got someone staying there too
Absolutely.
at times, and then
Yep.
do different events and everything too.
Yeah.
And then what made you guys, like, how did you meet your partner and then like kind of come together to start Healing in Color?
For sure. So I met my partner in all places where I think a lot of us are finding love these days, which is Tinder.
Okay, nice.
All right. So that was really me just going out there and being like, you know what, I do not believe a word my boys are saying right now. I'm gonna jump on Tinder and let's see what happens.
Yeah, you never know, right?
Right? And so, I just keep hitting bot. And it's like, okay, this is whatever. I never had a single date from Tinder.
Yeah.
Right? None of it worked out. So, then I see who's now my wife. And, I'm like, okay, it's very, I'm intrigued. She was very different. Her profile was even different, all that stuff. So, we met off of there, got to know each other, and we took it slow, right? It was no pressure on that. And we started to see how aligned we were in the different ways that we were living, even though we kind of were coming at it from different directions. Yeah. And so, when we got together, it wasn't a forced thing. Like, we very much, I love how we approach the relationship, which is that, hey, you're 100%, I'm 100%. So what we bring to the table is not about completing you or you completing me.
Yeah.
This is about bonus now. And so I think that really set the stage for both of us.
Yeah.
Because we were both coming in believing that for ourselves, but it's often a hard thing to communicate to people, right?
Yeah.
We often think, oh, you're my other half,
Yeah.
right? And so that brought a level of maturity I wasn't used to in a relationship. So we really had a partnership, right? Like it's a real partnership. And so it's friendship. I also told him, like, if we were in this relationship, I would still be cheering for you. Like, I actually like you.
Yeah.
Right? So, as we started moving through our journey, she was really going through self-healing and different challenges and whatnot, connecting with different modalities that would help. And just getting more attuned to our culture, reconnecting with it and understanding how people would heal themselves.
Yeah.
And that's really what inspired us to come to Healing in Color, where we could then open that up and allow her to maximize her impact of how she could reach people and help them to heal.
Yeah, and like, I think especially for our culture, it's being Caribbean lifestyle, like, it's hard to see people like us doing these kind of things. Yeah. And then added to the bonus of like, the space that you're in, you don't usually see too much of like, baller shoes or, like just like sports and engulfed in it too. Right. Like from the get-go, like if someone was to walk down the street and see you, they wouldn't think of you possibly being like, a Reiki teacher or mindful kind of coach and everything, but then when they talk to you, then it's just like, oh, okay, you know what you're talking about, you don't have like all the things you see like on in Tulum and whatever,
Yep.
kind of thing.
And that's by design, to be very honest, because like I understood for myself, like, okay, I was sitting back the other day and I'm like listening to all my rap albums and stuff. I'm like, okay, all my idols, all the guys who've actually taught me stuff, have dreads, neck tattoos, and all the things they're not supposed to do, apparently.
Yeah.
Right? But these are actually my teachers, right?
Yeah.
So I'm actually doing a disservice to cover up my tattoos and be overly polished the way that I really trained myself to be, A way I often communicate this lately that people seem to resonate with is that I was really Will Smith, but I was leaning way too far into my Carlton.
Yeah.
Right? I wasn't allowing myself to really have that flavor and personality. And that cut some people off from seeing, actually that's kind of the guy I probably want to talk to.
Yeah.
So, whether it's the tattoos or the shoes or whatever, it's just like at the core, I have to embody what I'm encouraging, which is be yourself and own who you want to be.
Yeah, for sure. And like, it's meeting people where they are too. So if like you're playing basketball and you meet someone that doesn't understand the space, then you can explain it. If you're at a rap concert, whatever like that, those kind of things, and I like to kind of put myself in that kind of position too, of just being who you are, and like, if we get chatting and we like are on the same vibe, then we're on the same vibe and we can help each other out.
100%.
And then I feel like you're very open to like the first time we met, like it's not like we met and then all of a sudden we're just like best buddies, but at the same time, like I felt like that energy was there. You've always supported me, like even though like we haven't known each other that long and like that well, that deeply. Like compared to like let's say Sangha, we've known for like almost 20 years now, right?
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah.
And he just sent me an image of the parties that we used to throw Satisfaction, and it was like 14 years ago. I'm like, holy
wow. A little less gray in the beard at that
just
time,
just a little bit. But those are the type of things that really I appreciate of what you do. Is just you're supportive in that way, and you are you're open to other people's lifestyles of where they are at that moment, and you always seem to be wanting to help when they are ready to right? I think that's the main thing for getting into that space of, you know, understanding your own self is you have to be ready for it. Like even just before, like, right, when we chatted, I said, I need to get back into doing a few more meditations and stuff. And you said, it's like, it sounds like you're ready for it again, right? So I got being in a roller coaster ride of it, of being in and out. So it's great to like have people like you, and, you know, offer your support and wanting you to be a part of like your mindful masculinity.
Absolutely.
And, you know, how is building the mindful masculinity and like the reason behind it too? How did that come about? Yeah,
absolutely. So, you know, I want to give you your flowers too, because to be honest, you coming out to the space, right? You also gave me a little bit of what you were just chatting about. It's like, okay, this guy looks incredibly cool, incredibly wise, right? I don't know how to talk to him. You know, I don't know what to do. And then, you know, I get to see a little bit more about your history. And so, wow, this guy has a very diverse way about living. And I'm like, you own it, right? And I love that, right? So that gave me a little bit of my own inspiration to step more into my thing. So I wanted to say thank you for that, man.
Appreciate that.
Mindful Masculinity in Motion. So essentially we started this movement in December of 2025. And I think it was brewing for years. And I think that oftentimes I would be that safe space for women in my life. And they would see that I'm attentive and I'm emotionally intelligent and I care. And so, you know, oftentimes what would happen is, you know, my girlfriends who were women would, you know, feel very close to me. If they had a guy in the picture, that guy would then start to hate me. So I kind of get into this whole thing. It's like, I hate the whole thing of this, right? So
I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes.
No, not at all.
I'm just an ear.
Exactly, right? So, you know, I start to see that there's some gaps in our own understanding of how we need to show up and stuff like that. And myself included, right? I'm not exempt from that at all. So it was really about creating this space where we could train together, right? We might say, hey, Julian, let's go meet at the gym. Let's go train arms today. Okay, cool. We don't think about that, right? That's, of course, I got trained today. Well, how about, you know, the skills that life's actually going to show us, right? The different lessons that, you know, what might have seemed like you got a coffee order wrong. Let's step back. What's the bigger message here? How did you handle that? Because that was small potatoes, right? So I start to really catch myself and understand, okay, I'm looking for someone to come here and guide me on things that there's not really a blueprint for. So I said, I got to embody this. So Mindful Masculinity is essentially a place where men can come together to build friendships, networks, and community together, right? We build our legacies in real time. It's a space to talk, chat, all that kind of stuff. So we have a WhatsApp group that connects men from all over the world. I think we have about 80 members already. We have, you know, space on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, all that. And what I'm trying to show here is that as much as we need that competitive spirit, right? Because I think I've tried to talk myself out of that, you know, going to the other side of the whole like hippy dippy side. But no, we don't need to be. I understand that there's a healthy level of competition that's needed, right? I don't know if it's for everybody. I need it, right? So I think that
we're wearing sports stuff.
Exactly. Right? So to me, it needed to be a space first and foremost, and primarily that shows us that we need to lead ourselves effectively first before we seek leadership of other people, and we also need to make sure that we are returning to the table time and time again, because the work is never done.
And like, I feel from what you've done and what you're creating now is, you know, stemmed from, as you said, it's a blueprint that has not been set for us before, right? And, you know, growing up as men and just in general, you know, we're supposed to be the tough guys and quiet ones. Like, we know so many guys that are just taking so much in and not releasing it in a positive or in a good manner. You know, and then it just goes, and you hear so much depression and everything. And then especially like within the Caribbean culture, you know, there's a lot of parties and drinking and everything too. Not that it's bad, you know, but it's sometimes it seems like it's an escape for them too, right? Like, how was it growing up that way to finally like have a point, maybe a breaking point to being like, okay, I'm part of my culture at all times when needed, but I'm not going to necessarily be doing the things that, you know, don't fit my alignment in a sense.
Gotcha. You know, I had a very difficult time with my heritage and culture. Like, it's not that I had any personal experiences that led me there. I think it was more absorbing the perspectives and things like that of my family. My family, when, on my mom's side, back in Guyana, they weren't living bad, right? Like they were doing well. I think they were considered themselves kind of middle to upper type thing. So I found that as they stepped higher up those levels of achievement, the further they distanced themselves from the culture. And it was almost like a scratch to be anything closely related to that. So, from our music to the food that they would take to heat up in the microwave at work, cultural clothing, celebrations they'd acknowledge, right? It was kind of just like at a distance. So I found myself asking a lot of questions around like, guys, like what is this? And what is this? And they didn't know, right? And so I started to realize, okay, at a certain point, the answers I'm seeking, I'm not going to be able to get from my people, like my immediate ecosystem. I have to go out there and grab the torch myself, right? And so I think that was a big moment where I realized that, okay, what do I feel my purpose is? To help men use their voice, empowerment, balance, masculinity, all that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, well, where are the models of that within my family? Yeah. Not to be harsh on them, but where are they, right? Okay, so I can't expect them to now train me about how to do what they aren't doing. Yeah. So I think
they don't know.
They don't. And so I think I had to get to that point. It's almost like growing up stage, right? Where it's like, hey, you're a standalone adult. You are someone's kid, but first you're a standalone adult, so figure it out. So I think that was a moment of me reclaiming it and just understanding the things where we give our power away, like you mentioned the drinking, right? I've given up drinking for over 3 years now, right? And that was my choice. No ultimatum, no picture my wife saw and said, hey, give it up. And no, it was just a choice because I said, the elders before me don't seem like they've been able to do this, and I can. So let me, right? This can be one way that I step forward with this. As an example.
And that's good, and that's an appreciation of yourself too. And I'm sure if you get to a point where you feel open to it again, you'll do it. But and it does not really serve you. Yeah. But I know that you still you have your non-alcoholic drinks to just. You still want to feel part of stuff, especially when you at celebrations and functions and everything too. You're getting way more involved with the Indo-Caribbean culture, like up here in different events too. So you're going to be surrounded by that either way too. There's going to be people that are. I feel like it's a lot more common now and not as like faux pas to say, oh no, I'll just have a juice or whatever. And even if it was just 5 years ago, people would be like, you okay?
For sure. Right? And that's the thing. It's like, I see all these memes nowadays. It's like, oh, well, you're going to go have something, plant-based or whatever. It's like, oh, are you okay? But you go have something that's absolutely going to destroy you. And it's like, no one says a word, right? So it's such an interesting thing with the alcohol and even seeing the stats around the younger people, like the generations coming up after ours. Yeah. Right? It's like, I think I saw something like 85% in a certain study, like prefer to actually just go to a social place versus drink. And it's this is amazing, right? And, I got to give love to places like Sober Sips up in Barrie, right? They've got a storefront and now they've started to set up a bit of a bar and that kind of stuff. They've done wonderful things where they actually had a whole alcohol-free storefront,
there you go.
Right? So I could literally go and be like, hey, kind of craving that whiskey vibe now. Yeah. Where can I go? And then show me the section.
It's like, may want a cigar and a whiskey, but you don't want
to. There you go, right?
And it's like, it's beautiful to have that kind of stuff now too, and I do think too it's a combination of it's just so expensive, like $20 drink and stuff, right? Like I remember having $20 and that would be a few drinks for the night. Right. I'd be like, I just spent $20 tonight and I'm like feeling nice. $20 one drink and you're just like, But I do feel that it's a way that people are trying to get over, just being able to talk to people and stuff and whatnot. So, but I do love that it is, you can be who you are, and as long as people are getting out, that's the main thing.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And it's interesting that alcohol has always been referred to as like liquid confidence, but it's almost like now it's like a non-alcoholic drink is the confidence, and that in itself becomes that social piece where you can go up to someone and chat in the club or whatever.
It's a placebo effect kind of thing, right? You maybe didn't need it. You don't need it, but it's just okay. I had a couple drinks, even if it's non-alcoholic, and then it's just like okay, I had that. It's just a trigger in your mind. No doubt. Okay, I can talk to them
for sure.
And it's just you talking about just what's going into our bodies, food and everything too. It's the same kind of thing, now you're in Costa Rica. I'm sure you feel like you're eating a bit better too overall, just because there's a lot of stuff's imported, but you have a lot more fresh produce and fruits and stuff, and it's just natural, right?
And it's so interesting. I was actually at Costco, I think 2 days ago, and I was like looking at the papayas there. I'm like, hey, I know what a real papaya looks like now. You know, so it's interesting. And you know, even being here, just being very honest with myself and checking in with my body, because I said I would do this now that I've been away for a while, is I want to see how my body is actually responding as I consume the food here versus there. Because now I've had a good year to figure it out. Yeah. And there's a huge difference. Yeah. You know, I think that generally, you know, traveling has given me a chance to see that the challenges we might face here appear everywhere on the planet. Maybe they just look optically a little different. Yeah. So over there, you know, they still struggle with the soil quality and things like that. And, you know, that's a big reason that shifted us. You know, I've been vegan for 6 years, right? Just at that mark, you know, from a health perspective, it's like from a nutrient uptake perspective, you need to maybe make a switch. Yeah. So, you know, the challenges are there, but it is nicer to be able to go grab a fruit. Right, it is nice to know that you have space to plant and do a thing like that, and to actually eat from the land, because it's relatively you're getting more of that close to nature and authentic type of produce.
Yeah, right? Anything up here is like almost a month from when it was picked and stuff.
Exactly, right. So
like I didn't eat, like I moved up here when I was 10 years old, and I probably didn't eat like a mango here for like at least 10 years. So it wasn't like I had one and I was like, this is not the same as back home, you know? So I was spoiled that way for sure, but I'm like, if it's not that same taste, then I don't even want it, you know?
For sure, man.
It's just that quality too, right, as you said.
And I had to check myself too, because like, you know, I bought bananas from the grocery store, and like 2 days later they're going brown. It's like, okay, hang on, Josh, you're getting mad because bananas are going brown, but hang on, that just means they don't have chemicals on them. So be happy that they're going brown. So, you know, it's like a whole reset, but it's like we almost have to step outside of, you know, just the day-to-day of what we might have grown up in. Like I'd grown up here like 34, 35 years, right? So it was a little bit of an undoing and relearning.
For sure, and I think that's like the beauty of like social media in today's age, of like people can kind of explore the world in a sense and learn a bit more. Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing, especially the younger generation. It's just like, okay, I shouldn't be eating this, I shouldn't be drinking, I shouldn't be having like all this processed food and everything. Yeah. So it's good. But then, like, I think it helps the mind too, right?
Absolutely.
And then just to kind of back up to, you know, what was the like moment of figuring out that you guys really wanted to, you know, take up this space, and like, was it just a straight shift from like going from insurance to being like, okay, I'm done with it. Tomorrow I'm here and starting it, or how did it all start off?
I hear you. I think social media can very easily frame it that way. Definitely not that. Definitely not that pretty. It was very ugly. It was very ugly, and it had moments of great relief and deep sighs, but it was a very ugly and hard process. And being very honest, like I think I delayed this process, if I will, for probably about 2 years, because I think Suki had been saying, this ain't it. But I couldn't imagine my life any other way than the structured 9 to 5. Yeah. You're promoted, you work on a laptop, that's it, right? Like I had no vision outside of that. So, you know, she was giving me my time to explore this, and I think she saw it as my health started to deteriorate. Yeah. You know, like I'm a person who's cared tremendously about my body, right? You know, and what was happening for me is I would set my alarm at 7 a.m. so I could work out before work, start at 9, whatever. Yeah. And I noticed that my body kept waking me up around 5, and it's like my heart was beating out of my chest every single day.
Anxiety.
Yeah. And I just had this like, Josh, like your ancestors did all that work, all the stuff just for you to die in your bed, right? Over a remote job. Like, no, that can't be it. So I had to really, it was hard because you get to a certain level of earning and milestones and all that. Yeah. And it's like, this is really hard to part with. So it just got to a point where I saw I couldn't hold the whole thing. And, you know, we finally just said, if we're going to be in service to people, we can't run ourselves into the ground doing that, right? So if that's what's going to be how Canada can happen, it can't be here. Yeah. So, you know, we started to do the stuff. Early January 2024, I think is when we listed. And the house by June is when it was closed up. And then we just set out to explore. We had no real plan, if you will. I had a team from Costa Rica who was setting up an eco-village. They reached out and they said, hey, really like what you're doing. Come on out, do a speech, a workshop, that kind of stuff. So to me, that was life saying, hey, you made these steps, you followed along, here's an opportunity for you. So it helped me to actually see beyond that vision, start to build it. So as we started doing that, we started to see new things unfold and travel. And after about a year, we got to really see this is the spot we want to lay some roots.
Nice. So when we met, you were still doing insurance.
100%.
Oh, wow.
I was working, probably when it's all said and done, I was probably working 18 hours a day. Like I was doing the insurance stuff. I was trying to schedule meetings in a way that I could actually go out to the Yurt and help Suki prep for her clients and run back. Right? Like everything, like it just showed me I'm going to great lengths to try and make this thing happen. I'll dance around this thing as long as I can, but I could see like at some point you want to give yourself fully to something, right? I didn't want to be half in, half out. So
that's good on you to like take that time to explore, kind of be open to things, like and not have something like what we're top of your mind and everything, and then kind of see where everything lands, and it did that for you too, right? For
sure. But I think like, it's also not to say that it was all just like peachy and stuff, because like you're now you've traded all your stuff and you got some money in the bank and you're traveling, right? But the security of the stuff that you once felt was there, that's not there. So, there's glamorous upsides to it, but just understand there's a human side to even as you're traveling and you're on the whatever, there's a human side to it too.
And when was the first time like you explored, something like self-healing for yourself to kind of like trigger this, I guess, snowball effect into where you are today?
I think I always go back to this moment, and I don't know if my wife thought it was anything significant, but I think she could see I was really struggling with some stuff while we were still over in Innisfil and had the Yurt and everything. And, we went into the middle of the Yurt, we're sitting just two of us, and she encouraged me to scream, right? Like to roar, right? And like, I'm like, this is a very weird request. Like, okay, sure. So I tried, and like nothing was coming out, right? And like the moment like I'm like, okay, this should be easy. Josh roared, okay, cool. Right? So then finally like something came out, and before I could complete the whole sound, I burst into tears. And I was like, what the heck is this? This is supposed to be like a super strong moment, like, and now I'm just gushing with tears. What's going on? So to me, it's like that was a moment where I first connected, I think, with how much I was holding and how all of that culminated and impacted, voice is actually a big thing for me, which people are probably going to find ironic with the podcast and all the things. Using my voice has actually been a very big struggle for me in my life. I stayed quiet thinking that was the easy, convenient thing. It's not going to make anything difficult for other people type of thing, right? And I think that moment was like that, it hit it right, like directly. And it's like, I can't be the same anymore after that. So I think that helped me to see like, look at how much support I've had around me and how much knowledge I have, and I still reached this point. So it's like, I got to jump in here and support my brothers too, and everybody else, right? We all have this similar challenge, right?
For sure. And like, I feel like I'm still that kind of quiet person. Again, even though I have a podcast and everything too, but like I am a person that like really wants to support people, and know I have a lot of support too, that I don't feel I go to it enough. So like when you reach out and like want to include me in something, it feels great to know that like, okay, I have the support without even asking for it essentially. So it's really appreciated. And like just with my running a lot too, that's what really I feel opened myself up to. And like just to be able to understand, giving back, everyone has different ways of giving back. And so this was like my way, and I really like leaned into it, and it's just propelled a lot of things and just opened up a lot of doors and just new friendships, and taking care of myself a bit more, like obviously with running and everything too. So meeting some great folks that just seem very much on the same page and everything too. And so I think like we're trying to like talk about combining everything too. So it's like the future looks bright for sure.
Definitely.
And I feel like it's something that we do to like for what you're doing. You want to be a representative for your culture, people of color. That it's like it's okay to to cry, to open up, and to understand that like your body is something that you need to take care of. And just letting stuff out to people and having someone guide you through certain things will help with that,
For sure, man, for sure.
So, and like, how do you talk to folks, especially people of color, and like kind of guide them into understanding, that you can come do Reiki or can do different types of meditations and everything without feeling, like this should be only like the ladies doing this and stuff.
Right. I think I just have to humanize it. Lately I've really found the power in not interrupting people when they speak, right? So, for example, there's an individual who is commenting on a post of mine right now. He commented from last night, and it's just like, you know what? I could jump in here and be like, hey, you're totally whack, and da-da-da.
Yeah.
I'll let you do your thing because you need to see yourself in real time right now, how you're representing yourself. I think it's just humanizing it, helping them to understand. Like, the biggest thing I think is they need to see an example of what it is we're bringing to the table, right? Because oftentimes I find that those of us who are in the space of trying to create that change, we're kind of doing the work of like 50 people. I'm just gonna call it what it is, because like we're the one who decided I'll take this upon myself because I don't see the people around me doing it, right? And we got to move this thing forward. So I think that it's been incredibly important for them to see the human side of stuff. Like, I'll tell them, like I very publicly shared, like, not for the sake of bragging, but for the sake of, guys, this will not solve your problem.
Yeah.
Like, you can make the sunshine list and your life is very gloomy.
Yeah.
It's incredibly gloomy.
Yeah.
Right? And just even crying in front of them. Like, I know what it's done for the men at our retreats.
Yeah.
I still remember, for example, after we did, I believe it was the cold plunge one, where we raised some money for Movember. And we're all sitting in a circle. I think it was a lot of us. I think it was 15 or 20 of us. And we just had some time to be open and vulnerable. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, how can these guys really see that I'm one of the guys, right? So I told them, I'm like, hey guys, all right, let's kick it off. I'll share something I get really insecure over. I don't know what to do when I go into a sex shop and I see the size of those things that I'm apparently supposed to compete with, right? And they all looked around the room like, did this guy just say that, right? And then they all chimed in about that. And it's like, wow, I'm not the only one with an insecurity.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, now we have an opening. We can do it with some jokes. We'll bring it back to the groundedness, all that stuff. But just doing it in a human way, right? Like as you even said, right? Like, when you're referencing the bracelets and the spiritual garb, it's like, okay, is that doing more good than harm or the other, right? So it's like that's not it, right? Embody it. You don't play the part, embody the part, for sure, right? That's what I've seen makes a huge difference.
That's good. So yeah, you talked about like just making people feel comfortable, and you've helped me to enter the men's group vision board earlier this year. And,
that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And you like helped tremendously, helped mentor me through the process. And I was like, how am I going to do this? And I had another friend there, Julian, and he I kind of started off a bit with like this intro. And he did like, a little bit bigger intro and kind of delved deeper into it. And he's within that space too. And there was only, I think, like not even 10 of us. And we had like a few hours, but the intro is just between everyone. Once one person starts opening up, it's just like everyone opened up. And it was like almost 2 hours of just intros. Right. We didn't even get to the vision board part, but it was beautiful just because people were, talking about things that they wouldn't normally, it felt super comfortable and safe. And that was like the main thing. I just wanted to create a space where guys felt safe, and do something that's a little bit quote unquote irregular, like a vision board for guys, but, and like I got so many different comments, especially from women too, actually, that were just like, it's beautiful to see, and I feel like a lot of women see their partners, probably what Suki saw with you, just being like, you're doing so much, and it's great, but it's not helping you, like if you can help yourself too, then you're not only going to be like helping other people more, but you will be, and yourself even more, and you'll feel at a better place. And so it was beautiful to be a part of that and to see guys open up, and and it just gave me like the energy to be like, okay, this is something that we need to do more of. As you said, like, I don't want it to feel like that I'm, 50 guys trying to do everything. Yeah. But then when you have like a couple guys open up, I feel like it's just a snowball effect, you know, I pay it forward kind of thing, and you help 7 guys, and then those 7 guys help 7 guys, and then all of a sudden it's like 1,000 people, you know.
Exactly, man.
And,
Exactly.
And like that's what I believe you're wanting to do with your mindful masculinity, emotion, and taking that emotion and you believe to, you know.
And I would say, man, it is our mindful masculinity emotion, right? Because I consider you one of the founding elders of this movement, right? And because you're doing such incredible things, man. Like, to me, I see you representing for Toronto. It's like when you raise the funds, and you're going to be investing that into the school and things like that. I'm like, I would walk by that school every single day when I lived in this neighborhood, and it's like, it's just a sense of pride and gratitude that I can't even say, man. So, you're very much part of this, right? You and everything you're building, very much part of it. And I also wanted to share, you said only 9 or 10 guys. That's a lot, right? Like, I don't know in your mind. I don't know if we just magically think how many guys we would imagine would come out to it, right? But, it's never an only, bro. Like, that's a lot. That's a huge thing. You guys are a movement. That's already a movement, so.
I appreciate that. And like, it's great. And, just how we have a group chat now, and like, want to like connect it all together and do more and bring guys to spaces that they kind of feel uncomfortable with, and it's just that like what we read about or what we hear about, put yourself in uncomfortable situations, and it is like, quote unquote whatever, but it is truth, right? And it's getting out of your comfort zone and feeling, as long as it's something to take care of yourself too, right? You're not putting yourself in a position to like hurt yourself, but
something that I found incredibly helpful lately is like, I'll actually ask myself whether I'm going to a place or see a person. I actually ask myself, because we have to be this strict with our time and stuff and mindful of our energy, is like, what am I anticipating the return on my investment of this time is going to be? Right? It doesn't have to always be a dollar thing, but it's like, ask yourself the question, right? Don't just blindly walk into something like, oh shit, where'd that 4 hours go? Right? It's really thinking about that. And I find that people move differently around us. They respect us even more because we respect our time and our energy and where we're willing to give it, when we do that type of thing.
Yeah, and I was trying to like be more present this year, even more so. I was just every situation I'm in, like I'm on my phone too much to begin with. And I know that, and like when I am, and I was like, I don't need to be, just looking at things that doesn't matter, like we grew up with nothing, so
exactly,
I grew up on climbing trees and like just sit there for an hour and be extremely happy.
Exactly. So now they have apps where they can climb a tree from the app or something, probably, right? So.
It's like, what did you do today? Climbed a few trees. Oh yeah, which tree? Let me check. Oh yeah, this one. So it's just doing that kind of stuff and separating ourselves from like screens and just being more present. And even when I go to different meetings now, like I could feel tired or whatever, but I know that I need to be there, present and everything. So like I feel there, but then sometimes I do feel like right after it's just like, ooh, it hits me and it's like, okay, that was the energy that I maybe didn't really have per se.
Gotcha.
And so I need to like learn to refuel myself in a sense. And I guess like with food or just with meditation and everything, like what is something that you see most men like not understanding about the space or hard to take that first steps of getting into the space for themselves?
To be honest, I think that it kind of ties a little bit to the phone, which is just like we're bombarded from all angles at all times with the right way you're supposed to do stuff, and apparently there's a wrong way to do stuff. Like I was literally talking about this on Saturday at the workshop where I just said, hey guys, okay, exercise, meditate. I'm not gonna tell you anything other than that, just meditate. We did like 3 minutes of a meditation. Okay, tell me about it. Did you guys look around the room? Who was doing it wrong? And they're like, who was doing it wrong? Can you do it? It's like, exactly, right? And so just bringing us back to that space of like, okay, nothing is ever perfect and pretty the first time, so just get going. Let's figure it out for ourselves. And just having that safe space, much like I feel like you're creating, that I'm creating, where we can ask these questions around, okay, when I meditate, am I supposed to not be thinking about something, or is it okay that I think about something? Because we don't usually actually ask these things out loud and therefore release it. We stick on loop and then that prevents action. So to me, it's like having that those people or whatever, not ChatGPT, a person, please, right? Where you can actually have that dialogue, right? And even if you both don't know, hey, now you have an opportunity to be curious and learn something together, right? So I find that's often a big hurdle, right? And they don't understand exactly what they're going to get out of it because, you know, the language that's used to market a lot of these things is unclear and intentionally vague, right? So it's like you go in and then because you don't know the vocabulary about how to actually ask effective questions around it, you just assume that that's how it's done. And okay, I guess I just keep showing up and then I'll be healed. So we need that space to ask the questions. That's what I feel is the main thing missing from a lot of us actually tapping into the different things that can help us.
Yeah, because there are so many different things and like it is, especially with social media, like it is like more prominent that you should be doing it this way, you should be doing it that way. And as I said, I think it is confusing for a lot of guys, especially that want to like maybe dibble dabble into it, but then, you know, if their friends are not doing it, then they may not do it. So it's just, it can be overwhelming and then nothing gets done too, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like, how do you have people coming to you more so now, or how did it start at the beginning? Like, were you just putting it out there to be like, hey guys, I'm just having this function come in, or were you explaining it at the same time too of what was going to happen, or were you kind of keeping it a little bit vague to kind of?
This is the thing. It was very much it still is kind of chess moves, to be honest. When creating the retreats, like, you know, I would be like, okay, I want, and this is very much in line with my mantra for 2026, which is be firm about the destination, but flexible with the directions. So I was very much, okay, I want the guys to end here, like feeling some release and this and that, but they're not going to do it just sitting and talking about their feelings. So I got to get you moving. I got to challenge you and bring you to the point where you want to vomit, because that's where you're probably going to dig deep and be like, oh, yeah, right? You're going to probably do some of that. So it was very, I really couldn't just do it the way solely I wanted to do it. It's like, I got to be like, okay, if I do it this way, you're going to think that, so I got to undo it that and do it this way. So it did become a little bit difficult, but to be very honest, the way it started to have success is when I started to focus less on them and be like, okay, Josh, you can't prove anyone else exists. So if the world is just a mirror for you, what's this showing you? What do you need? What would be the thing you come out to? So create that. And I had to go through the growing pains, and these really did suck, right? They really sucked when no one signed up for stuff, right? I sold out completely one time, and I was so happy with that, right? I felt like I could die happy in that moment. And then I've had ones where it's absolutely zero, right? And you know, then I had some where it's like one person registers, and you come to that point of like, okay, financially, you might not think it's worth your time, but that's where you have that moment where it's like, what are you really about? Because you said you're really about this. What are you going to do? So I think it caught that gentleman by surprise that I said, you know what? Still come. We're going to have a one-on-one retreat for you. And so that was also a big moment, you know? So I think guys need to see the Blue Jay hats and the guys talk about this stuff. As much as we're going to talk about this, we can go talk some smack. We could go talk sports. We'll talk finance. We can do it. You know what I mean? Just not boxing ourselves in and allowing ourselves to be curious and open up that conversation. Biggest superpower we all have.
And that's what I appreciate about you. And I think that is a partial superpower that I have, is like, I can probably have a conversation with mostly everyone about a lot of different things. I don't know it to a point where like I can explain certain things, but like I can have a conversation about it. I'm knowledgeable of what's going on a little bit, you know, just different sports, the politics and all that kind of stuff. And then like, if the vibes are right, then we kind of guide it. It's guided by itself almost into a more like meaningful space. And then you get to really see that kind of person, right? And I think that's what will happen too when you continue doing things, and then it's just word of mouth too, right? Like, put it out there, and it's just kind of figuring out for ourselves to, you know, not get too high when we do get a sold out thing, and get too low when it's nothing, you know. So it's like anything in life, but at the same time, you know, you just have to take it one step at a time, and, you know, as I said, like, take that step back, like, you know, widen things out. When it's too narrowed in, then that's all you see. But when you zoom out, it's like, oh, like, I was living in Innisfil, now I'm in Costa Rica, you know, traveling, and you're connecting with different people and creating great opportunities. And one opportunity that you that you just recently got into is a new position that you are in now. Is it COO?
Yep, CO.
Of what is the company?
So the company is MD Prescriptives. Okay. They're based in Florida. And so, Costa Rica gave an amazing opportunity for me to connect with the founder of that brand. She's globally renowned and does her thing. And, she really saw value in my ability to ground a vision and create execution around that and to support that execution. So it was very interesting because, I know, with U Thought Wrong, I know it's very much about that journey and all that. And so for me, I had different opportunities in life where I've served as a CEO of my own entrepreneurship venture for 8.5 years, right? I've gone up to try and get those VP type positions in my 9-to-5s and stuff like that. So, you have an opportunity and then it's you get a chance to actually see what life would have been like on the flip side of that. And it's in the moment, I hated the fact that I didn't get those roles. But then as I saw what happened to the people who actually did, I was like, thank you, universe. Yeah. I'm so glad that I was wrong.
Sure.
And so I feel like it was all prepping me for this moment because it's also not your traditional COO role, right? The way this business is done is incredibly different. And it's very interesting to be in a place where you're actually trusted. Yeah. You're told that you're trusted and you actually feel it.
Yeah, when they come to you, it's different than you trying to go for it.
Yeah,
right.
So I'm so grateful in so many ways for this opportunity to be here, especially because it gives us a chance to really talk about the brand and help it to be received by everyone all over the world, right? We're very much at a point of expansion. It's so far just available in the States. And so far, it's been very much positioned, towards certain segments and demographics. And what I really want to do here is support us in opening that up, right? So, I know I've shared with you about, for example, the magnesium. Yeah. Wonderful for recovery and rest and muscles and all the kind of stuff. So runners, I feel that would be awesome, right?
I'm taking a lot of it right now.
Right? So I'd love to share that with the community, right? And see if they appreciate this type of thing. Yeah. And really just education, right? This is another avenue into talking with men about our health, people about our health at all stages, right? And the whole mantra behind everything in the movement that she's created is take my power back, right? So that's very much what all of this is. It's about how do you support yourself? Because all the stuff, you can find it, but you got to be curious and diligent, right? And that's what this is about. So this opportunity gives so many pathways just open up because of it. And so I'm so incredibly grateful for it.
And it's kind of almost, not like closing the loop, but bringing it all together with, with your meditation, Reiki and everything, and it's more holistic. Mm-hmm. And then this is, the medicines, and people are like, oh, why would you get into medicine when you can do this, take care of your body that way? But there are a lot of people that need, as I said, for runners, if I'm going, I have a big run this weekend, and I have to have all of this nutrients that I wouldn't normally be able to get through all foods and such properly. And so it's nice to see, that kind of come together for you, and to encourage other people to take your multivitamins and all these things that that we don't normally get, especially in North America. You don't have all of the fruits and vegetables from the Caribbean and everything too. That, and even still, you're not getting everything that you need even there, right? Yeah. It's great to try and get it as natural as possible, but there's deficiencies in everything, and we still need to make sure that we're inside and out, that we're feeling good.
Absolutely. And that's one of the benefits of working alongside this company and Dr. Sangeeta Patty, is that she herself has done so much research all over the world, including in Costa Rica on the blue zones and soil quality and all the things, right? So it's wonderful that she has the 360 experience and education, right? So you're not just talking to a Western medicine practitioner. You're not just talking to integrated medicine. You got the whole thing, right? So it's a nice superpower to have as a resource for people to ask those questions, those safe spaces, and to connect with stuff that's actually created with intention.
That's awesome. Really happy for you and glad to hear. Just to wrap things up, what I usually do is just ask, what would your younger self be proud of who you are today, and what would your older self look at you now and be proud of today? Or
I think my younger self would be really proud of me for hanging in there and really starting to believe that I'm as great as my family, especially my mom, made me feel. Because I think that as I get older and I mature into an adult myself, I don't have kids, but I can imagine certain things. And it's like, you know what, to see it, to be witnessing my child, who I think is so great and wonderful and all the things, and feel the exact opposite about themselves, that must be hard for a parent.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm incredibly proud for myself, because I can feel that, and I can feel more present and happy in things, and not just looking ahead at future milestones and this and that. I can actually enjoy the moment. I think my future self is incredibly proud, because it sees that I'm trying to think, you know, decades down the line, multiple layers of the lineage down the line, and
generations to come.
100%. And I think what I'll be most proud of is if I can continue to do that without being bitter about it. Just understanding the honor and gratitude that can come with that.
Yeah, and that's a good one. Like, you don't really like think of that, you know, but it can be something that kind of holds people back.
That's all.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It was a great conversation.
Well, appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
We all have fears, and that's okay. We hope that we have given you something to help you conquer some of your fears, so you too can continue to excel at life. Thank you for listening to You Thought Wrong.